What is poppin', people? You already know who it is. What If King back again with another lit What If. So, in this video, we're going to be doing a continuation of What If Deku, where the reincarnation of freaking Madara Uchiha. So, yeah, honestly, that's pretty much all I have to say for the intro, so, we might as well get straight into this What If. So, the last time we ended off, it was when Deku was first waking up, from being born and all that stuff. So, we're gonna fast forward, a few years, and we'll say Deku's about 4 or 5. And, he is on the playground, and he's just playing by himself, and then, all of a sudden, he hears someone crying, so he turns around, and he sees a boy on the ground, and he sees that Bakugo and his 2 goons are just standing over the boy laughing, and, obviously, Izuku knows what's happening, and, we, as the viewers know what's happening. Obviously, Bakugo is bullying this kid. So, Izuku's not having it. So, he goes over to the kid and stands in front of him and puts his fist out. And he's like, "Leave him alone, Kachan." And then Bakugo's just like, "Get out of the way, Deku. Wait your turn. You're gonna be next." And then Izuku's just like, "No, stop it. Leave him alone, Kachan." And then Bakugo's just like, "Alright, well, you asked for it." And then he just runs straight at Deku. And he uses an explosion and pushes Deku onto the ground. And, obviously, since they're like 4 and 5, this explosion is not going to be that powerful. It's just going to be sort of like a spark. But, it's still enough to push, 4-year-old Deku down onto the ground. So, he gets back up, and he gets knocked down again, and then this keeps happening, and then when he's on the ground, staring at the sun, he hears this voice, and it says, so, you are the one the Sage of 6 Paths was talking about. And then, Deku knows that this voice doesn't really belong to the boy he was helping, or any of Bakugo's goons, or Bakugo. So he thinks in his mind, he's like, "Am I hearing things?" And then, the voice says, "No, you are not. I am speaking to you. I am not in, I'm in your mind." And then, Izuku's just like, who are you? And then, the voice says, "My name is Madara Uchiha. And for some reason, you are my reincarnation." And then, Izuku's like, what's a reincarnation? And then Madara's just like, yes, you are young, so you wouldn't understand what that means. It's okay. You will come to understand. But I wonder why the Sage of 6 Paths chose you to claim my power and be my reincarnation. You are weak, and the weak should be destroyed by the strong. But, since you are my reincarnation and you do have my power, I guess I cannot allow you to be destroyed. And then he says, "Do this." And he shows Izuku the hand signs for the fireball jutsu. And then, Izuku gets up, and the name comes to him, Fireball Jutsu. He does the exact same hand signs that Madara just did. And then he says, "Fireball Jutsu!" And then, a ball of fire just appears, and it hits. It just appears, and it hits Bakugo in the chest, knocking him down. And then, also, this fireball jutsu is not powerful at all. I mean, for a 4-year-old, maybe. But, it's not really powerful. But, it's still enough to knock a 4-year-old over. Not, like, sort of fatally harm him or anything like that. So then, Bakugo gets back up and he smirks. And he's like, I see. So, I guess you unlocked your quirk, Izuku. Well, let's see what it can do. And then he rushes at Izuku again. And then Izuku does the same thing. And he does the fireball jutsu. And this time it's a little bit more powerful than it was the first time. And it knocks Bakugo back again. And then he's just like, oh, damn it. And then he gets back up. And then that's when he sees Izuku's eyes. Izuku has unlocked the one Tomoe Sharingan. And then Bakugo's just like, what kind of eyes? What the? And then Madara, he's just like, ha 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 ha. So, you've unlocked it. I'll say that is pretty impressive, especially from someone as young as you. Although, you are my reincarnation. So honestly, I would not expect anything less. And then, after that, Bakugo and his goons run away. And then the boy who Deku was helping comes up to him. He's like, thank you, Izuku. And then Izuku's just like, oh yeah, you're welcome. And then, yeah. So, after that, Izuku's mom comes, and she sees Izuku's eyes, and she's just like, what happened, Izuku? What's wrong with your eyes? And then he's just like, Mom, I awakened my quirk. And Inko is sort of interested. She's like, that doesn't really look like anything his father has or anything I have, so this is interesting. So then they actually make an appointment with the doctor, and the next day that's when they go. And the doctor does tests and stuff on Izuku, trying to figure out what his quirk is. And then, after all the tests are done and stuff like that, they're in the office, they're in the room, and the doctor's just like, well, I'll say, he is quite the interesting case. It seems as though he does have a quirk, which honestly I'm kind of surprised by, because usually people who have a quirk don't have that double joint in their pinky toe. So I'm actually kind of surprised, because he has that double joint, but he still has a quirk. So that's interesting. And then Inko's just like, oh, really? And then the doctor's just like, yes. It seems his quirk sort of gives him a physical boost and enhanced eyesight. It seems as though he's able to predict the movements of people and other things. And it also gives him the power to create slight illusions. And then Inko's just like, but how is that even possible? That's like pretty much nothing like my quirk or his father's quirk. And then the doctor's just like, yes, what is your quirk? And then Inko's just like, well, I can attract sort of really small things towards me. And his father can breathe fire. And then the doctor's just like, yes. So it seems as though he has a quirk mutation. Sometimes the quirk is like their parents, or a combination of the two. But it seems as though his is pretty much nothing like yours, or his father's. So yes, we're not exactly sure why mutations like this happen. And, they're not really common, but they're also not really rare. Or at least they are rare on sort of different levels. His mutation is the rarest because it pretty much has nothing to do with your quirk or his father's quirk. So yes, that is interesting. And then Izuku turns to his mom and he's like, "Mom, can I become a hero with my quirk?" And then Inko is just like, "Yes, honey, you can." And then Izuku's just really happy about this. And then they go home and yeah, so it's not really gonna change the story, but I will tell you guys that Inko's not really gonna get sort of depressed in this one because Izuku is gonna be able to become a hero because he has a quirk. Well, what they think is a quirk, but it's really just Madara Uchiha's power. But yeah, so he will be able to become a hero, obviously, so she's not gonna get depressed or anything like that. And yeah, and I honestly don't know why, but I sort of feel like maybe she'd help him sort of train, I guess. I don't know. I know that may sound weird, but I think she'd put him just make him different dinners and stuff for his diet and just help him with building up his body muscle and just things like that. So yeah. So we fast forward a few years. And we'll say Deku at this point, he has learned how to, he has awakened his Sharingan, obviously, and in, the time that we're skipping, he awakened the 2 Tomoe Sharingan and the 3 Tomoe Sharingan, so he's able to do that. And he has also learned, he's pretty much mastered Fireball Jutsu. Not just fire style. He's mastered fire style. And he can perform different, all the other styles as well. He hasn't necessarily mastered all of them, but he can at least do them. He's definitely mastered, fire style jutsu though. And he has just started working on using his storm release, because that was a Kekkai Genkai that Madara had. So yeah, and his genjutsu that he can cast with his Sharingan has its power and things like that have really increased. So he's really able to do that. Obviously, it's not to the level of Mangekyo Sharingan or Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, but it's still pretty good. Yeah. And then Madara's just been teaching him different jutsu, things like that. Also teaching him taijutsu, and also trying to make his genjutsu stronger. So yeah, so we fast forward and Izuku is at school, and then the teacher says, "Well, I think now is the time where all of you should start thinking about your future careers." And then he's like, "But who am I kidding? I all know you guys want to become heroes." And then he throws papers up into the air. And then when he says that, the entire class gets excited. And they start using their quirks. And then the teacher's just like, now, you all know that there is no quirk usage allowed in school. So they all calm down, and then Bakugo says, "Hey, teach, don't lug me in with these losers. They'll be lucky if they end up going with the D-lister, become sidekicks for D-listers." And then at this, everybody gets mad. And then they're just like, "Hey, you're not even the strongest one in the class. Izuku is." And then at this, Bakugo just scoffs, but he knows it's true. They fought on multiple occasions, and each time Izuku has just absolutely washed him. So yeah. And then the teacher, he starts looking through his papers and he's like, yes, interesting. Bakugo, it seems as though you've decided to go and take the entrance exam for UA High School. And then at this, everyone is just surprised and impressed at the same time, because UA is an extremely good school and has a very low, acceptance rate. And then he's like, oh yes, Izuku, you are also planning on doing the entrance exam for UA. And at this, nobody's surprised, because Izuku's the strongest one in the class. And he probably has the best potential to become a hero. And then Bakugo, when he hears this, he looks at him and just glares at him. And then fast forward a couple of hours and school's over and everybody's left. Izuku, he's just getting his stuff ready to go. And then Bakugo and his goons walk up to him. And Bakugo's just like, so you're trying out for the UA entrance exam, huh? And then Izuku, not even looking at him, just says, yup. And then Bakugo sort of gets mad at this, and he's like, look at me when I'm talking to you. And then Izuku looks at him. He activates his Sharingan, and he's like, don't tell me what to do, Bakugo. And then Bakugo sort of, gets a little bit pale, he starts to turn a little bit pale and steps back just slightly. And then Bakugo's just like, so, you think you're better than everybody else? You think you're better than me? And then Izuku's just like, no. Actually, if anything, you think you're better than everybody. Your attitude, your just cocky attitude is so obnoxious and annoying. And that is the very thing that is going to stop you from becoming stronger than me. Because you already think you're better than everybody else, but you're not. We fought on multiple occasions, and every single time I've beaten you. Yet you still think that you're stronger than me, and you're gonna become the #1 hero. But that's not gonna happen. And as long as you have your annoying, cocky attitude, well, you'll probably never become a hero, and you'll never be stronger than me. And then Izuku deactivates his Sharingan and walks out. And then Bakugo can't believe that Izuku just said all of those things, and he's really, really mad. So, but obviously, Izuku just does not care. So, in this one, Izuku's just pretty much gonna be an absolute savage. Yeah. And he's gonna be a lot more confident than he was in canon. And obviously a lot more powerful. And yeah. So he walks out and he decides to take the long way, home. And when he gets inside of the tunnel, the sludge villain appears, comes out of the sewer, and he says, hey, give me your body, kid. I didn't know the freak was in town. And then Izuku's just like, he turns around really calmly, and he's like, what freak? Who's this freak you're talking about? And then the sludge villain, he says, it doesn't matter, just give me your body. And then he lunges at Izuku. And then Izuku, he just jumps up and gets behind the sludge villain. And he does the hand signs, and he says, storm release, laser circus. And it hits the sludge villain, and it makes the sludge villain just explode, and it's just sending pieces of sludge all over the tunnel. And then something comes out of the sewers again, and it's All Might, and he says, do not fear, because I am. And then he looks around and he sees pieces of sludge all over, and he sees Izuku. And he's like, oh, well, I see I was unneeded. You have this all under control. That's very impressive, young man. You were able to take down this sludge villain. And then Izuku, he is obviously, savage and more powerful and more confident. And, he's gonna be less, fanboyish in this what if than he was on canon. So when he sees All Might, he's extremely, excited and things like that. But he doesn't go, starts muttering and things like that like he does in canon. And he's just like, oh, wow, that's awesome. You're All Might. You're the number one hero. And then All Might's just like, yes, I am All Might. And then he's like, oh, what happened here, kid? And then Izuku's just like, oh yeah, sorry about using my quirk, but he did sort of attack me, and he said he wanted to take my body. He said something he didn't know, that the freak was in town. And now that I see you, I'm guessing he was talking about you. And then All Might laughs, and he's like, haha, yes, he probably was. And then All Might's just like, here. And then he hands Deku a bottle. And then he's like, will you help me put the pieces of sludge into these bottles? And then Izuku's just like, yeah, of course. And then they do that, and that only takes a few minutes. And then when both of the bottles are full, All Might's just like, thank you, citizen. I would appreciate your continued support. And remember to always go plus, and then he's about to jump away. But then Izuku stops him and says, wait. And then All Might looks back, and he's like, I'm sorry, kid, but I really have to get going. And then he says, remember to always go plus ultra. And then he jumps. But then Izuku also jumps. He jumps with him. And this time he's not really going to hang on to All Might, I don't think, because, we're just going to say that he can jump, too. He has that hop game. And then, so he jumps, and All Might sees that this kid is following him. He's like, did he jump too? That's extremely impressive. He just says it in his mind. And then he lands on a roof. And then Izuku lands on the same roof. And he's like, sorry I'm following you, but I just really wanted to ask you a question. And then All Might's just like, yeah, sure, what is it, kid? And then he was like, well, do you think I can become the number one hero and become stronger than you? Now, in the canon, you know that he asks All Might if, he can become a hero. But this time, he's a lot more confident, a lot more powerful. So he's, setting his sights higher than just a hero. He wants to be the number one hero, and number one hero that's going to be stronger than All Might. And then All Might, he's just like, well, I'll admit, it seems as though your quirk is pretty strong. What is it? And then Izuku, he hasn't really told anybody that it's not really a quirk, it's just that he's the reincarnation of Madara Uchiha. And honestly, nobody would even know who Madara Uchiha is anyway, so it really wouldn't make any sense. And people might just think that he's, weird and things like that, so he just doesn't say, he just lets everybody believe that it's a quirk. And he's like, oh, well, my quirk is called Sharingan. Basically, what I can do is I can manipulate it's called chakra. It's sort of a life energy, and I can manipulate it into different elements like lightning, earth, water, fire, and wind. And then I can activate a different set of sort of eyes, and it's called the Sharingan. And basically what that allows me to do, and enhances my physical abilities, I can sort of cast, illusions on people. And it also gives me way better eyesight, and allows me to predict the movements of my opponent. And then he activates his Sharingan. And All Might is really impressed. He's like, oh, well, that's pretty interesting. That sounds like a really powerful quirk. And then Izuku's just like, yeah. And then I can also combine my different chakra natures, which are, the 5 different elements. And I can combine them, and I can use Storm Release. And then All Might is just like thinking in his mind, he's just like, wow, that's a really powerful quirk. And then he's like, well, kid, that is an extremely powerful quirk. And I bet that if you worked really hard, I bet that you could become the #1 hero and become even stronger than me. And then, as he says this, there's just a cloud of sort of smoke just appears around him. And when the smoke clears away, you see Small Might. And then Izuku is just like, what the hell? Or no. He's just like, oh, so that's what's wrong. And you might want to know why he's just like, oh, so that's what's wrong. It's sort of because Izuku could see the chakra around All Might, and he saw that there was sort of something wrong with it. And All Might doesn't have that much chakra, and he doesn't know how to use it, obviously. But, we're just going to say they all have chakra, but it's a very small amount, and nobody knows what it is or how to use it. They don't even know they have it, except for, Zuko, obviously. So, he sort of saw the very little chakra that All Might had, and he saw that there was sort of something wrong with it. And he's like, oh, that's what's wrong. And then All Might, he's just like, why isn't this kid surprised? And then he says to Izuku, he's like, you're not surprised? And then Izuku's just like, no, not really. I saw your chakra, and I saw that there was something wrong with it. So, no, I'm not really surprised. And then All Might's just like, I have chakra? And then Izuku's just like, yeah, everybody has chakra. It's just that they don't have very much of it. They have very, very little of it. And they don't know that they have it. And they don't even know how to use it. And even if they did know how to use it, it wouldn't be very efficient because they don't have, a lot of it. So they would run out of it immediately. Just even trying to do one simple jutsu. Which is sort of, a technique that I use with my nature transformations. And then Alma's just like, oh, I see. And then Zuko's just like, what happened? And then Alma's just like, well, I faced a villain, a very powerful villain a few years back. And, well, he did this to me. And then All Might lifts his shirt and shows Izuku his, wound that he has. And then Izuku's just like, wow, your half of your respiratory system just gone. Your stomach is just gone. And then All Might's just like, yeah, it's gone. And then All Might's just like, ever since then, I've only ever been able to do hero work for 3 hours a day. And then Izuku's just like, man, that's terrible. And then he's just like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to work even harder, just in case something ever happens to you. I'm gonna be there to take your place. And then All Might smiles at him. And he's like, if I hadn't listened to All Might, if I hadn't listened to Night Eye and gave my quirk to Mirio, I would have definitely chosen this kid. And then All Might says, yes, thank you. That would be greatly appreciated. And then he says goodbye to Zuko and he walks away, down the steps. And then Zuko does the same thing, and yeah. So that's pretty much that. And then, we fast forward the day of the UA entrance exam. And all of these months, Izuku's been training, immensely. And also, so he's just been training immensely, getting way stronger. And so we're the day of the entrance exam, and so he's there, and he's walking, and then he trips. But when he trips, he puts his hand out, and then sort of flips back onto his feet. And then Uraka, a girl, obviously, she sees this, and she walks up to Izuku, and she was like, wow, that was really cool. I was gonna use my quirk on you, but you saved yourself easily. And then Izuku's just like, yeah, I'm, sort of excited, just anticipating, the exam. And then Ochaka's just like, yeah, that makes sense. And then she puts her hand out. She's like, hi, my name's Ochaka Uraka. And then Izuku shakes it, and he's like, hi, my name's Izuku Midoriya. Nice to meet you. And then Ochaka's like, yeah, nice to meet you too. And then she's like, well, good luck. And then she runs into the school. And then Izuku goes into the school, and, they're doing the written exam. And we're just gonna say Izuku, he doesn't burn himself out like he did in canon. And he doesn't he doesn't do any of that. I mean, obviously he still trains hard, but it's on schedule and things like that. And he does study a lot more and all that. So, yeah. So, he gets, we'll say, we'll give him an A- for the written exam. And then, comes the practical exam. And when President Mike is explaining everything, someone says, excuse me, over here, it says that there are 4 robots, and you are only saying that there are 3. If this is a mistake on official UA material, I'll be extremely disappointed. And then everybody looks at him, and President Mike is just like, hey, what's your name, kid? And then the kid says, my name is Ida Tenya. And then, so yeah. And then President Mike is just like, no, it's not a mistake. It's just that 4th robot, well, it's best if you avoid it. It's not really worth any points or anything like that, so there's just no point in destroying it. And then Ida's just like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Sorry for my interruption. And then he sits down. And then President Mike goes on, still explaining. And then in this, Deku isn't muttering or anything like that, so his interaction with Ida doesn't happen. And then they get on to the grounds where they're, gonna be doing the practical exam. And Izuku sees Ochako. So he, wants to go and talk to her. So he starts walking towards her, and then Ida just comes in front of him, and he's like, that girl is trying to prepare for this practical exam, and if you are trying to distract her, well, I'm going to have to stop you right here and now. And then Izuku's just like, oh, you know what, it's not even worth it, and then he just goes back to stretching. And then President Mike is just like, well, there are no countdowns in a real battle, so just go! And then everybody runs off. And Izuku, he activates his Sharingan, and he starts running. He just pushes off and starts running, and he just speeds in front of everybody, and everybody's just shocked at the speed. And, how much, all the wind pressure that Deku is creating while running. And there were like 3 robots that were sort of all in the line, and they were all 3-pointers. And Deku just jumps and he smashes through all 3 of them, creating a huge hole in each and every single one of them. And then after that, Izuku's just absolutely tearing robots apart left and right, shooting laser circuses, fireball jutsus, Phoenix Flame Jutsu, all of that. It's just using all of that, wind bullets, all of that. And everybody's just like, what the? He's using wind and fire? What the? And now, like, his physical strength is incredible. And look at his eyes. Did you see his eyes? What kind of quirk is that? And All Might is up there, and he's just like, wow, that kid wasn't kidding. He really does have all of that. I mean, I believed him, but I didn't think it was possible to have this much control over it. That's incredible. And all the teachers up there are just really impressed by Izuku. And one of the teachers, Shoto Aizawa, I don't know, whatever. Let's just say Aizawa. I know it's not Shoto. So yeah, Aizawa, he's just like, wow. He says in his mind, he's just like, wow, this kid is pretty impressive. He has quite a bit of potential. And then, Izuku's just continuously destroying all the robots. And then, he feels this sort of shake, and sort of rocks and pebbles that were on the ground just jump up every time, the shake happens. And then he looks around and he sees the 0-pointer. And at first, Izuku was like, well, I mean, it would be a good test, but it is, not really worth any points, so there really is no point. And then he turns to walk away, but then he hears this scream saying, help! And then Izuku turns around and he sees that it's Ochako Uraka, the girl that he was talking to before. So at that, the decision to destroy that robot was pretty much made for him. And he goes to Ochako. He easily picks the rebel off of her, picks her up, and he takes her back to the crowd. And he puts her on the ground, and he's just like, stay here, I'll be right back. I gotta go take care of that thing. And then he rushes off before she can even say anything. And she says in her mind, she's like, does he really think he can do something about that? Is he really that powerful? I mean, I've seen him, but really? And then, Deku jumps up, activating his Sharingan again. And then he does the hand signs for the Fireball Jutsu. And when he's finished, he says, Fireball Jutsu! And the fireball just hits the robot, and it just engulfs him in this ball of fire. And it explodes, and when the smoke clears, you just see the 0-pointer, or at least what's left of the 0-pointer. It's just absolutely obliterated, just pieces of it everywhere. And the teachers, they cannot believe the power that Izuku just displayed. And they're just so surprised. And then Ochako's just like, what? That was so amazing. And then Deku jumps down, falls down to the ground. And he walks to Ochako and he's like, are you okay? And then she's just like, yeah, I think I sprained my ankle though. And then he's like, I see. And then he picks her up and just walks past everybody, taking her to, the nurse's office. And everybody's just like, what? The exam isn't even over. And he's just walking away. He probably has so many points that he doesn't even need to worry about it. And then they remember that, this is an exam, so they should probably start, trying to get more points. And then they start again. And Izuku gets to the nurse's office and drops Ochako off there. And then he was like, well, I hope you feel better. And then Ochako's like, yeah, thanks. And, maybe, if I get in, we'll be in the same class. And he's like, yeah, if I get in too. And then Ochako, she's just like, come on, do you really think they're not gonna let you in after what you just did? And then Izuku's just like, you never know. And then he was like, see ya, cutie. And then he leaves. And when he says that, Ochako sort of blushes. And yeah, so we fast forward a couple weeks, a week actually, and Izuku's in his room and he's lifting weights and he hears the knock on the door and he's like, Izuku, the letter from UA came. And then he immediately body flickers over to the door, opens it, takes the letter, and he's like, awesome. And then he opens it right then and there, and then he sees that it is All Might. And he's like, hello, Izuku Midoriya. I knew that you had potential when I saw you. And I am proud to say that you have been accepted to UA High School. And not only that, but you have gained 300, combat points. And there was a secret part to the exam that nobody knew about, and it's called Hero Points, and you get 60 of them for saving Ochako Uraraka from that 0 pointer. And then Deku's just like, awesome. And then All Might's just like, you have the most points in your entire class. And then Izuku's just like really excited, and then All Might is just like, welcome Izuku Midoriya to your Hero Academia. And that's where I'm gonna leave off this What If. I really hope you enjoyed it. I certainly, enjoy it. I think just me doing these What Ifs, I think, I just really enjoy, doing them. This video was like actually really long, way longer than I expected it to be. But it's like 40-something minutes. But so yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know, I might come out with part 3 today. I don't really know. I'm gonna try to, we'll see. I gotta say, just making like sort of as many videos as I possibly can each day, it really burns me out. And I know, like yesterday I only made like 2-3 videos. I think it was just like 2, but like it was still like it took a lot out of me. So honestly, I just might start doing, I don't know, I sort of might just start making 2-3 videos a day, maybe, I don't know. But I'm also thinking about starting another What If. I thought, I was only gonna have, 2 What Ifs going at one time. But I think maybe I'm gonna start another one. And I'm thinking maybe it should be, what if Deku had Stormbreaker? And honestly, I just got this video idea like a little bit earlier today actually. I was just thinking about other What Ifs that I could do, and I was just like, that is one that I could do. Like, that'd be honestly really sick. I've seen What Ifs of, what if Deku had Mjolnir, and honestly, Mjolnir is cool and all, but like, I think Stormbreaker is better. I think it looks cooler. I think it's more powerful. And I just like Stormbreaker more. So I'm just like, alright, maybe I should do, if he had Stormbreaker, So if you guys, if that is something that you would like to say, please let me know. Put it in the comments below. And honestly, just put it in, the comments below of other What Ifs you guys would like me to do. I'm always, I was gonna try and not forget about the what ifs that I already have going. So I'm not gonna try and have like 5 or 6 what ifs or anything like that going, because I think that would just be a lot. But I mean, I wouldn't mind, you know, obviously I'm not minding 1 or 2, and I'm probably not gonna mind like 3. I think that is probably gonna be the most I ever have going at the same time. But I mean, hell, I would enjoy that. So if that's something you guys would see, put it in the comments below. Just put in the comments below really any what if you guys would like me to do. Any anime really. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. You guys already know who it is. What If King signing off. Peace.